I've spent over $100 million on the Facebook ads platform, working with businesses big and small to acquire new customers. I know what works on the platform, but more importantly, I also know what keeps brands unsuccessful on the platform. Really common things. And number 9, especially if you're watching on YouTube or you follow the D2C Twitter crowd, is going to be the most important. Number 1, you don't have a testing mindset. On a daily basis, I get asked questions like, should I test interests or broad audiences? And what type of ad creative should I test as a jewelry brand or a B2B brand? And these questions tell me that you do not have a testing mindset. If you're getting up and running on the Meta Ads platform, you should test some interests. You should test broad. You should test some lookalikes. You should test a wide range of different creative formats. No single person, guru, or expert on the internet is going to be able to tell you for certain, hey, this audience is going to do the best for your brand. Hey, this creative is going to do the best for your brand. You need to develop a testing mindset so that you can learn more about your customers and more about how they interact on Instagram and on Facebook, and more importantly, about what makes them tick and buy. No one is going to come out of the gate swinging and getting amazing results on day one. I hate to break it to you. Number 2, when you do start doing testing, you end up doing more testing on audiences versus creatives. Really, testing different types of creatives and messaging should be your focal point on the Meta Ads platform. So when I'm working with brands that are doing a lot of diligence on split testing their different audiences, I'm kind of like, hey, what are you doing here? Why aren't you testing as many different creatives? Because ultimately you're going to be able to get more performance by leaning into the creative side of things, not the interest or audience segmentation side of things, because nowadays, most of that is pretty much automated. And number 3, when you think about testing creatives, you think about it in testing formats only. So a lot of times when I'm working with brands, they'll be like, help, features point out, us versus them, before and afters, UGC, none of that stuff worked. And when I dig into their creative tests, I see, oh, you actually haven't really given a lot of thought to your messaging, and you haven't sifted through your customer testimonials or looked through your ad comments to see what types of pain points your customers are actually having with your product or their failed solutions, which is really why the messaging part of it should be the huge anchor in any part of your creative strategy. Don't get me wrong. Format testing is a great place to start, but it is not the end all be all of creative strategy. And number 4, you're not using your customer's own words, which is why such a huge part of my process is doing that research and mining those customer testimonials, going through those ad comments, and looking at those customer service tickets to understand what those major pain points are, and of course, what those transformations actually look and feel like. One of my favorite stories actually is I once worked with a brand that worked on a features point out ad, and they told me, oh, this format doesn't work for us. But when I went in and actually pulled out the types of headlines and the types of features and benefits that their customers were actually showcasing in the reviews and redid that features point out ad, it ended up being one of their top performers. So that goes to show really how important that in-depth research is, and using your customer's own words and having that be reflected in the advertising. And number 5 is you only conduct iterative tests. Now, a lot of times when I'm working with a brand and they have a whole creative strategy workflow set up and a whole process, when I am talking to them, they'll be like, oh, if we conduct this test, then we'll take this messaging point and only use that and the subsequent UGC ads, and just, it's all been boiled down to like a mathematic equation. And what I end up seeing is that all of their ad creative kind of looks the same. So they're using the same type of UGC, the same type of UGC creators. And if you take a step back and look at it on a wall, you're just like, wow, this is all the same. And what I actually often see is that brands need to be taking much bigger swings to actually get that performance that they're looking for on their paid social ads. Number 6 is that your goals are unrealistic. Now, this is where utilizing a platform like Varos is super helpful, because oftentimes I'll be working with a brand, they'll be like, oh, we need a CPA or a ROAS of this at this spend. And I'm like, okay, realistically, here's all the creative we would need to do this. Is that something that you can help facilitate? No. Okay. Well, we're not going to be able to do that on our back end just by like split testing, just by like rearranging your ad account and split testing different audiences. It doesn't work that way. That's why working with a platform like Varos is really great, because you can go through and show the client, hey, here's the average CPA, the average ROAS, the average spend for other brands in your niche. So if they're trying to get something that's not even in the realm of possibility in those benchmarks, that's a really good data point to anchor them to let them know that they need to be more flexible in their goals, or they need to figure out how to make their goals work on the back end of their margins. Number 7 is if you're still using a funnel approach on Facebook ads. Now, I said this many times on this channel, so I'm going to speed through this really quickly. But if you think you need to use an engagement to traffic to conversion campaign to warm up the pixel, that's not how Facebook ads works anymore in 2023. Really, if you are trying to go after people to buy from your brand, of course, this is not the case in lead generation, but if you have an e-commerce product and you're looking for people to buy from your brand, you just need to set up a sales to purchase campaign. And that's the best and easiest way to get people to actually buy from you. Number 8 is actually something that I see a lot of brands wasting money on, but they think that they need to get the same type of performance out of every product or offer. So a lot of times what I see is brands will set up different campaigns for different products. And in some cases, that's okay. But in most cases, I'd say that you don't need to do that. And that's a really great way to waste money, because the reality is that you are not going to get the same type of performance out of all of your products. In fact, you're probably going to have 2 or 3 hero products that do the bulk of your selling on these paid social platforms. So trying to force money and force performance out of some of your other products is probably not going to be as effective for you. So the way that I like to look at this is, okay, if we have different products, we should actually just be treating everything like a new creative test. So, oh, we want to test this creative for this specific product. If it's scalable, great. If not, then we're going to turn it off and iterate just like we would a regular creative test. And number 9, for you YouTube University and you D2C Twitter folks, I am a part of both of those groups, so I'm right here with you, is if you have SSS, which is Shiny Strategy Syndrome, which means that every time someone talks about cost caps or 322 or some other mind-blowing account structure strategy that you think you need to test, and you go through and spend all your money trying to make this, listen, everyone has a different way of running their Facebook ads. And while yes, you should conduct these tests, just because the insert name of popular agency owner here, insert name of popular guru here says that this is the best and only way you should be running Facebook ads, I'm here to tell you that that's not true. I've analyzed, ran, managed, overseen hundreds of thousands of Facebook ads account at this point, and no two are run the same. Sure, there are certain similarities, and if I was starting a brand new account tomorrow, there are certain things that I would do to make the management of me running that account a lot easier, especially on day one. But there's not just one way to win, which is why every time something blows up on D2C Twitter about cost caps or whatever, it's like, it's worth a test. But if you find that you test it and it doesn't work for you, do not waste your money trying to make it work just because him said it was the way. Again, it's all about adopting that testing mindset so that you can sniff out your own bullshit and the bullshit of others. And that is it. I will see you next week. Bye.